Words of Wisdom with Adam Carriker.
If women ruled the world, there would be no wars. Just a bunch of jealous countries not talking to each other.
You came to Washington, you were a first round pick in St. Louis, and so maybe this story hasn't been told on the East Coast yet. What was draft day like for you? You were a first round pick, so you knew that your name was coming off the board in day one. What kind of feelings did you have?
It was honestly surreal. It was almost it was like not real. I remember the night before. I remember talking with Angie. We were married at the time, and just like we could go to Tampa, we could go to Seattle, we could go to Washington D.C., San Francisco, St. Louis. We could end up anywhere down in Texas. You have no idea where you're going to go. You really don't know what position you're going to play. I could play 3-4. I could play 4-3. I didn't know how that was going to play out. So it was really the night before. It was a lot of butterflies. It was a lot of unknowns. I really wasn't sure what was going to happen, but there was so much. It's just excitement, anticipation. The day the draft happens, you wake up, you eat, everyone comes over to your house, you get together, and you watch the draft. You know certain guys are going to come off the board early, and then when it kind of gets to where your name is going to be called or soon, you start to get these little butterflies. And it's very exciting. It's very emotional for a lot of guys. A lot of guys end up crying, breaking down. I don't want to say break down like a bad thing, but break down, just tears of joy, tears of happiness. Personally, I didn't do that. I remember I got the call. The Rams got on the clock with the 13th pick, and I got the call. I answered the phone, and it was Scott Linehan at the time, the head coach. He goes, "You ready to be a Ram?" And I remember they had told me that if I was there at 13, they would draft me.
Okay.
But there's a lot of smoke screens that go on in the NFL, so I don't really pay much attention to it. There's teams that tell you they don't want anything to do with you, but you know they're interested. So I took it with a grain of salt. He's like, "You ready to be a Ram? You ready to come to St. Louis?" I was like, "Heck yeah, let's do this." And what's interesting, the part that never gets told, is I was on the phone for the next hour and a half.
Really?
Because then the PR guy gets on. Then the media wants to get a hold of you. Blah, 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 blah. Everyone's talking to you, and it just doesn't stop. And then I almost felt bad because to this day, I've still never really celebrated with my folks. I was at their house. We did the draft party at their house in Washington State. And then they whisked me away on a plane. And I was gone. I never really got to celebrate with my folks. And to this day, it's something I've talked about with them. And at some point, I'll have to take them out. Like, I don't know, was it 7 years later? And I'll have to celebrate with them a little bit. But they had a hard time getting me to St. Louis because Pasco is the nearest airport. You've never heard of it, neither of you. And I barely have. And I lived around there. It's a small airport. So we stayed the night at Salt Lake City there in Utah. And then we flew into St. Louis the next day. And it was, I hate wearing a suit. I was in a suit for like 3 straight days. But anyways, they fly you in. It's very cool. The police pick you up. You get like police escorted to the Rams facility. There's a big press conference. They're taking all sorts of pictures. You get a tour of the facility. You meet everybody. I remember I met Coach Baker, Brian Baker, who's a D-line coach. Doesn't say welcome to St. Louis. Doesn't say glad to have you. Doesn't say can't wait to get to work. He simply says, it's going to be a little different than college here, son. See you next week. And
Wow.
That's how he
Wow.
left it. I was like, can't wait to meet that guy or work with that guy. You know, and then Haz was there as well. I don't remember. Haz didn't say anything to me like that. He was probably more cordial, more friendly, shall we say. It was just very exciting from the night before, the unknown, to the day of the draft and the anticipation and the butterflies to getting the call to, I still feel bad about this, not really celebrating with my folks and then being whisked away on an airplane, wearing this big, fancy, custom-made suit that I had made, and I don't like to dress up, but the suit was very nice. And then doing the press conference, getting the tour, and then immediately we started going around St. Louis looking for properties or where we wanted to buy our house or if we wanted to rent or whatever. So it was, it's kind of a blur even to this day.
Wow.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience, but to this day, it's still surreal and kind of a blur.
Talk about a whirlwind. I had no idea that you were on the phone for a good hour and a half afterwards.
God.
I know that you have to have those calls with the media, but I thought that typically those are, reserved for later in the day. Maybe the player has a chance to catch his breath or something like that, but they just put you right on, huh?
There's no chance to catch your breath. You get the call. I wanted to get off the phone. I wanted to hug my mom. I wanted to thank my dad for all the things he'd done to help me. And I didn't get the opportunity. I did those things later on. And then you immediately go to the airport. You're immediately flying away. And it was so exciting and exhilarating. Like I said, once in a lifetime. To this day, when I think back, there's kind of a haze in my mind just thinking about it because it all went by so fast.